Hello and welcome, I'm Stormo, and today we're taking a look at Batsugun. This is an arcade game from the early 1990s, and it has a pretty important place in the history of the arcades. We're going to play... let's start with Gino. We might play all three over time. We'll start with Gino here and go through them. I should pump some credits in, shouldn't I? I may not actually continue through all the game. I'm going to try and show off all the ships. Now, you might notice that we're staying in the shooting game genre, and I promise at some point we will do games that aren't shooters. But I wanted to cover Batsugun. In fact, this is one of the games that I've been wanting to cover ever since I decided I'd start doing arcade games, because this game is really significant in a lot of ways. And I'm going to talk about that. First, I'm going to explain a little bit about the sort of situation into which this game found itself in the early 90s. So, it's created by a company called Toaplan, and Toaplan made a lot of really good shooters in the sort of 16-bit, 32-bit era, as I die there. A lot of really good arcade shooters, and... oh, jeez. And, they're probably... I just got absolutely destroyed. I'm not going to continue with this character, and... oh, okay, that's how you do it. Right, I was trying to figure out how to make the countdown go faster than that. Just punch some more credits in too. We'll have another crack. This time we'll use Beltiana. But yeah, so... Toaplan made a lot of really good shooters. They made things like Truxton and... trying to think of another one off the top of my head, other than the one the obvious one, because if you know anything about Toaplan, you've probably heard of the game Zero Wing, the Mega Drive version of which became something of an internet meme many years ago due to the translation efforts of its introduction. Interestingly, the Mega Drive version of Zero Wing is quite a different game and not actually as good as the arcade version. And I actually recommend checking out the arcade version Zero Wing, because it is actually pretty decent compared to the Mega Drive version. But it doesn't have that hilarious introduction, which of course gave the world the all your base are belong to us meme. So, yes. If you're wondering where that comes from, it comes from an older Toaplan game. But this is not that game. This is Batsugun. And Batsugun, I'm pretty sure Batsugun is kind of how it's meant to be pronounced, I suppose, in the West, but... technically, I suppose the Japanese pronunciation would be more like Batsugun, but who am I to sort of judge the pronunciation of Japanese? Anyway, so why is this game significant? Well, you're probably noticing something pretty spectacular about it already. Keep in mind, this game came out in 1993, and the thing you're probably noticing a little bit about it so far is it's pretty full on. And in fact, this game is widely considered to be the first true bullet hell shooter, and you can see why with this boss. You can fairly clearly see what's going on as we attack this boss. Those are bullet patterns that you see in bullet hell games. Those are not bullet patterns you get in the kind of shooting game that was more common at the time this game came out. This is not a Raiden clone, even though it might look a bit like a Raiden clone. This is not a Raiden clone. This is a bullet hell shooter, and that's just part of the story here with Batsugun, though. Because the other part of the story is that it was developed within Toaplan by the people, or by some of the people, that would then go on to form Cave later on. And Cave, of course, are the company behind such shooting classics as the Dodonpachi series, Mushihime-sama, as we level up. I love the level ups. Your ship gets utterly ridiculous firepower in this game too. That's something you'll see. Hopefully, if I can hold it together. I haven't played this game in quite a few years, so... and I actually did get reasonably good at this game a long time ago. I also know that there's a sort of scoring system with these little V symbols. You've got to collect them when they're facing dead on for maximum points. You can still collect them less, but you get maximum points when they're dead on. So you've sort of got to time it. Kind of like the gold bars in a lot of the Psycho games, the Strikers games, and Gunbird and things like that, where they have the gold bars that you've got to collect to get the chain and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, but we actually made it through that entire stage without dying once, which is amazing given how much I struggled with the first stage, but but it's the bosses that are the thing in this game. So this game does have a few of the bullet hell tropes. Your ship's hitbox is smaller than your ship, although not perhaps quite as dramatically as would be later. There is actually a remixed version of this game called Batsugun Special Version, which is not this version, by the way. I'm playing the original arcade version. Special version was never actually released, and was demonstrated not long before Tower Plan actually went out of business. And unfortunately, then they went out of business. We're just gonna continue on. We keep our power level for continuing, which is nice. Oh, jeez. But yeah, we're going to stick with this ship, I think, for this playthrough. I will run through the whole game. As I said, it's been a long time since I've played it. And yeah, I'm not going to, like, you know, play to any level of proficiency. I'm just going to keep getting smashed by this ship, apparently. So that's like, I don't know, 40 cents I've spent on it. Back in the early 90s, arcade games in Australia were like 20 or 50 cents. Or at least that's how I remember it. Maybe they'd gone up to $1 by then already. I don't know. Whoa. Oh, we leveled up again. Yay. So, yeah. And this game predates all of Cave's games. And as I said, is made by the same team. It is missing a few things. Like I said, it does have the small hitbox. And you start to see what's going on with our ship's power. It will get really, really ridiculous. It has the selection of different ships that sort of... Well, it's not really a bullet hell trope specifically, but bullet hell shooters tended to take it. It doesn't really have a scoring system in the way that later Cave games would. Like I said, there is the medaling system. You've got to collect the items, and that's, again, very much a bullet hell trope. And I'm doing a terrible job of that. Let's try and... We got that one. But there is the medaling... Oh, whoa. Got smashed. There is the medaling system, but there's no sort of chaining or comboing system, at least as far as I know there isn't. I don't recall there ever being one in this game, so I'll just grab those. And it does have a somewhat complicated power-up system. You see the level down the bottom there to indicate ship levels, and you've got to... I forget what... I actually can't remember what you're supposed to do to increase that meter. I think... Oh, we've got to get that pig. How do we get the pig? We fly over it? No, there's a way to get that pig. Do I bomb? No. So I can't remember. You're supposed to get that pig. Maybe I've made the pig appear and that's all I needed to do. But yeah, there is this whole thing with pigs. They give you bonuses of some description. Can't really remember. It's been a while. I did, like, check that stuff, but there isn't a huge amount of information about this game because it's a moderately obscure game for the most part. But... as I said, it is very... Oh, whoa. Just flew straight into that. It is very historically significant. Like I say, because it was made by the guys that made Cave, and it's probably the first bullet hell shooter. There was a game that came out on the NES a year before this game called Summer Carnival 92, Wrecker. And Wrecker is, weirdly enough, an NES title that's a bullet hell shooter. And one day I might make a video about that game, but there are videos on YouTube if you want to look it up. Because Wrecker is well worth checking out. It's such a bizarre game. And such an amazing game for the Famicom, because it wasn't really the NES. For the Famicom at the time. So, but yeah. One interesting thing about this game, actually, is we're playing it. Is that it's got music. And the last time I played this game in MAME, it didn't have music. The sound wasn't emulated correctly, or wasn't emulated at all, actually. Because this game runs on, I think, its own sort of unique arcade hardware. It's not like a common arcade platform like the Cave games would be, and you know, it doesn't run on like Neo Geo hardware or anything like that. So it's its own sort of thing, and I think there was an issue for a long time in MAME with the game's internal copy protection essentially making the sound not work. Whoa. You're getting to see sort of how crazy the power is, and I might, next time I continue, I might swap to the other ships just so you can see what they look like in terms of their power as well. So the interesting thing about saying that is this is the first time I've actually played this game with sound. And the music's not bad, actually, I've got to admit. I'm not convinced the music is perfect. There's a lot of... You probably just heard a really high-pitched sound then that doesn't sound exactly right. I feel like there's maybe that is how the game sounded, but it doesn't sound quite right to my ears. But never having actually played this game like on real hardware, I don't know for sure. And I can only go with what MAME is capable of giving me at the moment. And for what it is, it's not bad. It sounds like mono sound too. In my headphones, it very much seems like mono. I'll switch to the other ships so you can see what they look like fully powered up as well. Nearly fully powered up, anyway. So this is the first ship, the one we actually played before I decided to switch to that second ship with. You see it's got this crazy spread shot thing happening. Got a bit ambitious. But you can also see, as we've gotten deeper into the game, that it does really start getting crazy. Like, it may not have seemed very bullet hellish at first, but yeah, no, it's nuts now. And this is, I think, a year, 2 years before Donpachi. The first of the, well, I was going to say the first of the Dodonpachi games, but technically it's the first of the Donpachi games. So I'll switch to Type C and you get to see this ship in action. Oh, except that really annoying high-pitched noise. I am so sorry, I didn't realise that was going to be a thing. Yeah, that's not good. I might suicide this ship to get away from that. You can sort of see what we're doing. I'll go back to that second ship though, because that, I don't know how that sounds to you guys, but that is painful in my ears. That is, hold on, I'm just going to pump some more credits into the machine. Whoa, what's going on with that music? Whoa! Listen to that music! Okay, I didn't realise that was happening every time I continued. That's amazing. Anyway, let's try and fill this ship full of burning plasmic death from the look of it. Oh, that was only the mid-boss. Wow, okay. But yeah, I would have kept playing that third ship, but there was a really high-pitched noise that its side lasers were making that I'm not convinced was correct. Again, I said the sound was a bit iffy. When I did load this, it didn't say that there were any problems with the emulation, but yeah, I feel like it's not perfect. Anyway, that's beside the point, because the point is that you can see that this game is just crazy now. And I'm going to have to do Donpachi at some point, I guess, in this series, and maybe even next week. I want to do something that isn't a shooter, though. I mean, I know shooters are pretty big, pretty important in arcade circles, but I do want to like cover other games. Like, you know, I'd love to do fighting games because they were arcade games too, and there's a couple other things I'd love to cover. But as I said, I wanted to do Batsugun because this game is really significant, and I think people need to sort of know more about this game in general. Because, as I said, it kicked off a genre basically. Without Batsugun, there'd be no Dodonpachi. There'd probably be no Toho games, or they wouldn't be the kind of games they are. There may not have been Radiant Silvergun or Ikaruga, even though those aren't technically bullet hell shooters. Don't get me started. And yeah, there may not have been a lot of those indie bullet hell shooters on Steam, some of which I've even made videos of myself, like Space Moth DX recently. And without this game, those games, Jamestown, which is another really good indie developed shooter that came out a few years ago, that wouldn't be around. Oh jeez, wow, okay. Let's just die to all the lasers, or all the bullets here. Because that's what's going to happen at this point. That continue screen music is spectacular. That is fantastic. In fact, the music actually is pretty good, especially compared to what we played last week with XDXs. I know there's a good, you know, almost a decade's worth of development in sound chip technology between them. Jeez, we are getting smashed. We're going to have to pump more coins in. But, oh, yep, that's another one. That's a smasher. So yeah, but, I cannot deal with this many bullets. This is bullet hell. This is... Let's not even pretend this is anything other than a proper bullet hell game now. Just pop some more credits in. Keep going. Because I'm just going to try and get through what I can get through. If there is a second loop, I'm pretty sure we've long failed it by now. I'm pretty sure Batsugun doesn't actually have a second loop. Or maybe it's like Donpachi, where the second loop can actually be accessed regardless of whether you continue. Like Donpachi, you just get to the second loop. There's no requirement for it, like there is in the later Dodonpachi games. Jeez, this thing goes on forever. Do I have to shoot all of those? I'm also wondering vaguely what this game's penalty for dropping a bomb is. Cave games have a fairly strong tradition of not... oh, jeez. Oh, I can actually hold the fire button down. Oh, but I don't get the... okay, I see. So you can hold the fire button down, but there's an aspect of your firing that you don't get if you do that, so I do have to, like, mash the fire button. Because it's designed by Cave, and that's how Cave games all work, and this is apparently... Well, it's not designed by Cave. It was designed by people who went on to make Cave. Oh, jeez. This is an easy pattern. I should know this. Whoa, those side lasers, though. I shouldn't be having any problems with that spiral pattern, but oh, those side lasers. That's get the hell out of dodge time when that happens. Drop the bomb. Nope. No, not dropping bombs. Just hitting that continue button again. Now I'm going to drop the bomb. Okay, so I think the bomb actually had an impact. Yeah, it does. It's hitting all those things. They're turning blue when I drop it, so I'm just going to blow all my bombs. If there was a bomb bonus at the end of this level, we ain't getting it. Cave games tend to punish you pretty severely for bombing. I think I've talked about this before in covering some of their titles, but yeah, this game, not so much. I don't know. I don't care enough about getting a high score, because if I cared that much, I wouldn't be credit feeding my way through the whole game like I am. But yeah, wow, this game is spectacular. It's also a very nice looking game, actually. Like, keep in mind that it is, you know, early 90s 16-bit hardware. I imagine it's Motorola 68K based. Don't know the exact details of the hardware, but I imagine it's, you know, fairly moderate, similar to a lot of arcade games at the time. So yeah, and it actually, I'll be honest, I can think of better looking 1993 2D arcade games than this. It has, I think, a very sort of 80s vibe to the visuals. Like, it looks more like a game that would have come out in the later 80s. In the arcades, of course, I mean, like, at home, this kind of thing would have looked spectacular in 1993 because the SNES and the Mega Drive did not have what you need. Is this the final boss? Are we already at the end of the game? I can't remember. I can't remember how far into this game I am or how many levels there are. Well, whatever it was, we just beat it. So if that was the end of the game, we beat the game. If that wasn't the end of the game, we've probably got another level to go. I think there was only stage 4. Should be at least another level. So, but yeah, and oh no, there's no penalty for bombing. Okay, cool. Unless that resets the counter for those things. If bombing resets the counter for those things, then that'll be the penalty for bombing. But there's obviously no bonus for getting bombs at the end of the stage, so. The pigs! Oh, you just fly over them. Oh, that's right. I remember how to use the pigs. You bring them up on screen, and then you fly over them, and it increases a counter. That's how the pigs work. Yes, I've just remembered how that works. And basically your score goes up very quickly, very fast, and they are very much a key to high scoring. So, everything I said about the pigs before, ignore it probably, because it was probably wrong. Doesn't matter for us, but if you are playing this game to score, knowing where those pigs are and how to unlock them and interact with them is going to be super important to getting that score. So as we go here, we'll just try and... I'm just trying to make my way through the game. I'm not going for score. I can't remember how to score in this game. I mean, I can, but yeah. Probably going for the focus shot ship rather than the spread shot ship was probably my biggest mistake. I probably would have done a little bit better with the spread shot, but because with the spread shot you can actually get out of the way of bullets and still be attacking things, but you don't do as much direct straight damage. So that's sort of the downside to most spread shot ships in most games. That you end up doing less damage at the front, but you have the advantage of being able to continue to damage while moving out of the way. So I'll switch back to the spread shot ship and give you a good idea. So I can hit a lot more of the screen with this ship. In fact, you'll notice the spread shot in this is actually intense because it's basically filling the screen. I don't think the Dodonpachi series actually gets weapons as insane as this game does until about Daioju, which is about 10 years after this game came out. So that's something about this ship has homing missiles too, and I've just completely missed all of those. Are they homing missiles or are they just forward missiles? Looks like they're just forward firing. They spread out really nicely, they do a lot of damage, so we're going to keep on with this ship for the moment. Like I said, I'm not going to use that third ship again because of that noise it was making. Which may not be painful to you guys when this video is done, but in my headphones, it was really nasty, so... Wow. 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 Everything about this game, man. I'd forgotten just what a really, actually well-designed game this was. I'm just getting score bonuses from these things now. I guess I'm at like max power. They're just giving me heaps of score bonuses for these power-ups. Wow, look at those score bonuses. That's crazy. Getting 10,000 points per one. And this isn't a high-scoring game. You can sort of see my score, which I don't think it's reset since I've continued. I think it's actually been continuing on and just adding 1 to the continues column, which is quite common back in the day to indicate someone had continued, or because all the scores were multiples of 10, any score that wasn't an easy multiple of 10 was clearly registered by someone who used continues, although more often than not, later on, a continue just wouldn't register a score, so... I'll go with this shift again. Oh no, it is resetting the score. Okay, so that was actually a decent amount of points. It's not a high-scoring game. It's not like a cave game where your scores start to get ridiculous from about stage 1. And just keep getting more and more ridiculous. This is not that high-scoring game, so... Oh! Whoa! Okay. I can't remember if this is correct. I'm going to go to type B for a while. Just for fun. Just mix it up. I can't remember if this is correct or not, but I suspect Joker Jun, Junya Ino, did the art for this game. He did the art for a couple of later cave games, including Esprade and Espluda. And I think he did the art for Ibarra and maybe the Death Smiles games? Can't quite remember on that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the guy that actually did the art for this game as well. Although the art does look a bit different, but like this is an older game too, so it might be an earlier sort of incarnation of his style. One thing I'm noticing with this game too is these bosses tend to be these sort of really sort of multi-part turret sort of things. There's lots of different places to hit, whereas you get to a cave game, and I can't help compare this to cave games, like I said, because it was developed by them. It was straight up developed by, you know, the people that would go on to develop Cave. I thought for a second there I'd run out of things. So that's nice. Anyway, let's press on. Try and I was going to say I'll bomb, because bombing does, despite what it looks like, bombing clearly hits everything on the screen. You can tell everything that can be damaged turns blue. So it's a good way to sort of reveal where you're supposed to shoot too. I guess now I'm out of bombs, so I'm either going to have to suicide or keep trying to shoot. Let's try and shoot that middle thing. I am wondering though if there is some kind of bonus. In fact, we'll go back to type A so we get the spread. We can hit everything. We can drop a bomb. I am wondering actually, with regards to that. That's what we need. Hit that core. Wow. Oh, whoa. This is bullet hell, kids. This is a bullet hell game. Like, let's not even pretend this isn't bullet hell. And yeah, and it's an amazing technological achievement too, I think, to get this game. I mean, in a lot of ways, bullet hell shooting or bullet hell games are interesting in the sense that they come out, and I don't know if this is actually the final boss or not, so I don't know if I've just beaten the game. I have a feeling I have, though. Oh no, maybe not. All stages clear, congratulations. I bet I'm not going to get much of an ending, though, because of how badly I played. Is there an ending? Let's find out. Oh, there's an ending. Yeah, that looks a bit Joker John. Oh, wow! Oh, wow. After several defeated battle, he was transformed into a cyborg by Dr. Cabriel, and then went on to make the legend as the space hero. Well, good. Oh. Maybe there was a second loop. I don't really know. Looks like we're getting a credit sequence, though, so that's nice. So this is the staff roll. And I won't recognise any of these games, but any of these names, but you guys might if you're familiar with early 90s game development in Japan, arcade game development. But yeah, so that was basically all of Batsugun. And obviously, in a real arcade, it would have taken a lot longer to get good enough to beat it, unless you had an endless supply of coins like I do. Yeah, and as I said, it's interesting because it's... Yeah, I was right too, Joker John. There you go, you can see him in the credits there. So I was right about that. So I feel good about knowing that now. That was like my little factoid that I knew but couldn't remember that I knew. But yeah. Some of these credits names though. Yoshita to Sakai the Third. That's spectacular. But yeah, I don't even know what the story for Batsugun is. Like any bullet hell shooter, it probably doesn't need one. They all do have stories, but I couldn't even tell you what it is. All I know is that this is the first true bullet hell shooter. It was developed by staff at Toaplan who went on to found Cave after Toaplan went out of business. And I somehow got myself on a high score list, which is surprising. Let's enter our traditional high score name. So let's do that. And I got first on that list. Game over. But if there was a second loop or something like that, then I very much probably didn't qualify. I don't actually know if Batsugun has a second loop. It's something I tried to find out before I started playing and didn't. But what I can tell you is that it's actually a really good game. Well worth checking out. It did get ported to the Sega Saturn, and that version actually contains both this basic version of the game, not basic, the standard version of the game, and the special version, which never got released. And in fact, the board for the special version, after Tower Plan went out of business, the one board for the special version ended up in private collectors' hands, I believe, and we're talking Japanese private collectors, so like locked up in a cupboard forever and ever and ever. But I believe a few years ago, I don't know the exact story behind this, I remember when it happened, but I believe a few years ago, the MAME guys did manage to get access to the board to dump the ROMs, and you can play the special version in MAME now. So, yeah. So that's Batsugun. It's a fantastic game. I'm going to try and not do a shooting game next time we go into the arcade, but that'll be next week. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all then.